Hey, what's up? It's the ManFUzed Podcast. I am Kay Lee, my co-host, Ben H. So today on the ManFUzed Podcast, Ben H has a friend, a female, who's been hanging out with this guy for a couple months. But she has a very strict set of guidelines. If this man is smaller than what she considers average, she wants nothing to do with him sexually. But before she will even get intimate, she wants to know. Is that a dating red flag or is that someone's preference? And she is unwilling to waver.
I have this friend, and she's a very interesting person.
Do I know this person?
You do. She was telling me the other day, I introduced her to one of my friends that I thought would be a good fit. And she just can't get past the unknown, whether or not he's endowed to her liking.
Well, there's only one way to find out.
She just wants him to show it to her. I told her, I was like, that's so demoralizing. You're literally asking the guy to show you what he's got so that you can make a decision on whether or not you're interested in getting to know him better. She's like, exactly. Because if it's not beyond a certain size and girth, I am not interested. We can be friends, but I'm not going down that path. She's like, I have stayed at his house 5 nights. I've slept in his bed 5 times, and he just won't show it to me. I'm like, well, why don't you, find out for yourself?
Oh, so she is actively hung out with this person.
She's hanging out with him with hopes that she's eventually going to get a glimpse of what's going on down there.
Well, the only way to find out is to put your mouth around it.
I gave that advice. She said, nope, I'm not doing that unless I know beforehand.
But what if it's cold? What if it's not a good show and it's a grower?
I mean, she wants to see it in action. She wants to see it in speed mode.
She's not going to stimulate the situation?
She told me that's why she stays over, because she's hoping he'll get morning wood and she'll be able to figure it out.
Well, that's weird. Like, why wouldn't you at least make out with him and then therefore you'd see it and then you could decide? Your buddy who you introduced this young lady to is divorced. And
both are friends. The male and the female are both friends of mine.
How long have they known each other?
And both of them are divorced. She has a child.
Doesn't she have 2?
3.
Oh.
But from a couple different guys and over about a 25-year period of time. So she currently has a 5-year-old who's super sweet child.
And I was at that wedding.
You were, yes. Mm-hmm. And
because you were a gracious host. And
of course, obviously.
And what happened there that ended? Did he have a teeny peeny?
No, I don't think so. I don't know if he was in the vacation dick territory.
Okay.
Circling back around to some old topics. If you've never heard of our episode on vacation dick, check it out. It's very interesting.
Or boyfriend penis.
Or boyfriend penis. Mm-hmm. I think he was more in the boyfriend penis category.
Right.
Which is, acceptable per her.
It's average.
Standards. She's fine with average. She actually prefers it. Okay. That's what she's hoping for. If he's got a freaking hammer, she's okay with that too.
She'll be the nail.
Yeah. But, and there's a big B in that but.
She wants a thermos.
If it's less than average, she's out. She's still in on friendship.
But what does that look like?
Well, I mean, they're already friends.
But they're friends and they're hanging out.
Yeah.
And she's staying at his house.
Yeah.
Only because there's the possibility of it being girthy and large enough to satisfy her to where then she would decide, hey, I'm going to sit on it and we can move forward.
I think they're friends anyways. I think because they really are very similar. The reason I introduced them to each other is because I didn't know if anything would happen, but I knew that they would get along. And he is still heartbroken from his divorce. And she is, I don't know, heartbroken, but definitely still, a little scarred from the situation and sharing custody. Let's put it this way. Neither of them are eager to get into a serious relationship, but they are enjoying each other's company, not sexually.
Well, that's what she's waiting on.
I think that they are both kind of enjoying the idea that it could go that direction, and they're also both okay if they just stay friends.
Do they live around each other? Because if she's spending the night at his place.
No.
Well, where's the kid?
It would be during
the other parents.
Yeah, it would be during his custody. I just find it interesting that she's putting so much weight on
the weight of his penis.
On the size of his penis.
Yeah.
And
she's putting weight on the weight.
It's below average. Not necessarily whether or not it's just huge or big or whatever you want to call it, that it is below average.
Now, have you gotten explanation from her as to what is below average or average to her? Because that is to each his own, is going to have their own opinion.
I mean, we had this conversation, and I explained to her that in my experience...
He's a good guy, though.
But, I mean, look, I haven't seen a lot of erect penis in my time.
I've seen tons of cock. No,
but
up close and personal.
But I mean, for the most part, there's the average range, and I think that's where most dudes fall.
And we've talked about that, the average range of where you live in the world.
Yeah.
Because the United States will have an average, China will have its own average.
Right. And
Africa will have another
has
average.
A different average.
Everyone has a different average.
I think we're talking about the American average.
The American penis average. That is the new formula for determining your taxes.
Which I think is like 5 to 7 inches.
I think it's
erect.
like in the 6-inch range. Yeah, something
it's
like
that. 5 to 7 erect, measured from the top.
And if you've shaved, then you might have an extra.
You might get a little half-inch there.
Yeah,
you might pick up. You might push the ruler in a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. You know? So what was her answer to that? Is the American U.S. average penis size too small for her?
No.
So she'd be cool with 6 inches.
Perfectly fine.
Oh, so she's not wanting like a telephone pole necessarily.
She'd be okay if that were the case. I think she would be particularly happy if that were the case. He might have a problem on his hands if that were the case.
She might want to stay sitting on it.
Yeah.
Forever.
But if it were average, she said that's completely fine with her. You know, she's very sexual. You can have sex more often, kind of a thing. So she kind of said, hey, you know, in the case that it's like, you know, extra big, that can be good and bad. You know, it can be good because
I might have to recover.
The level of pleasure can reach a higher height. But at the same time,
recovery might be
the frequency of sex might be less. So there's pros and cons in that department, in her opinion. She just wants to make sure it's not
below average.
Below her opinion of average.
She just don't want a 3-inch man. Skinny.
Penis, you know. I mean,
who does?
But a lot of guys out there have smaller members. I mean, and a lot of them
but they don't want that.
Well,
and neither does she.
But there's a lot of things in life we don't want. I wish I was taller, you know. Wish I had an Impala.
Wish I was a ball. That's funny.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of things I think that we wish for, but the truth is, and we've discussed this before, you could be a below average size man, but guess what? There's a below average size woman out there.
Vaginal canal.
Like 100%, it exists.
Oh yeah, it does.
And it's just right for that
bottom out as for that average
absolutely,
man.
Absolutely.
Oh, I can't take it.
Yeah. So you know, I mean, there's someone for everyone, but for her, she has this standard, and she's not willing to do anything sexual to find out. This is the interesting part. She's not willing to go into a sexual situation to discover whether or not he has a below average erect penis.
See, that to me is, I don't know if I would call it a red flag. It's just...
Does it seem a little shallow?
I know. I mean, it's whatever you're into. Won't settle for anything less. In this case, her average, let's say 6 inches. But still, okay, you're going over there, you're hanging out, you're friendly. On one hand, if the dude is endowed enough...
Right.
You're going to sit on it.
100%.
But yet, you're sleeping in his bed, maybe a little cuddling. Don't tell me you're sleeping there and you're not touching each other in any way. There's no butt up against, like...
Yeah, I'm sure.
Cuddle, maybe.
Some of that probably.
Maybe a little nipple tweak. I don't know, whatever. So to me, that's just weird that you won't make out. And I'm not saying you have to have sex, but a little kissing, a little touching, a little whatever. To determine that, to be like, pull your pants down. I want to see it. I'm going to judge you right here and there, whether we're going to move forward or anything. Like, how weird is that?
It's really weird. And yet, at the same time, this is a girl who has a lot of guy friends that she's not involved with sexually. She's one of those girls, and she really likes this guy. They've become friends, apparently really good friends, and both of them are in similar situations. I think for him, he's been very clear with her to say, listen, I'm still heartbroken. I haven't slept with anybody in almost 2 years. After I got divorced, I went out and I was with some girls and I didn't like the way it made me feel. And so I removed myself from that market because I want to get over this heartbreak, and I'm still heartbroken. And so I'm not really in a place to say that I want a serious relationship. There's kind of two sides to it a little bit, because I don't really think that he has initiated anything with her.
And maybe that's the problem, is that
because if he was to initiate a kiss or something like that, then, you get to first base, you get to second base, you get to third base. Okay, look, we're not going to move this fast.
But maybe,
and then you know the information that you need, and you can decide how you want to proceed. I think that's what she's hoping for.
See, I think maybe the fact that he maybe hasn't made any moves, and she's laid this out there and has asked to see it, and has kind of made this line in the sand.
Yeah.
She thinks he's intimidated and or insecure.
Well, he probably is.
Maybe, but
I don't know if she's told him that this is...
You don't know if she said what the line in the sand is.
I don't think he has any idea.
How can you say you're trying to see it if you haven't asked to see it?
She keeps hanging out with him in hopes that he's going to make a move on her so that they'll have a little maybe hookup, and she'll be able to kind of get to third base or second base or whatever base it is.
Her hand down his pants.
Whatever the hand down, whatever base, I guess that's like second base. It's commonplace to kind of move slow in the beginning. It would be acceptable the first time you hook up not to have sex. I just don't want to go this far yet, but now she has the information that she needs
to decide
if she's going to just be friends or if she's going to pursue an actual sexual relationship.
It's very interesting. Thank you for giving us a inside view.
Now, he did give her some insight.
Oh.
He did give her a little insight.
Well, all the minds want to know. I can't wait. Tell me, please.
He said, she told me that he told her that the head is huge.
So it's like a cheese wheel?
I don't know.
It won't touch bottom, but it'll stretch out the sides.
I don't know. I don't even know what that means. You know what I'm saying?
It's really fat, but really short.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's interesting, Ben. Thank you for your buddy. Now I know he's got a thick helmet.
So what do we think here at the ManFUzed Podcast? I mean, how are we going to advise her to proceed? Are neither of them really interested in one another? Is that why we're not seeing...
It's either two things.
Yeah.
You said it. You said one thing, that a comment that he had made about girls he went out with or hung out with previously.
Right.
And he wasn't ready. He wasn't comfortable.
Yeah.
He's hurt. He's not over the ex who he got divorced with. That's number one. Now, he is being a friend and hanging out with her and letting her spend the night. And if he's being a gentleman and not making any moves, it's either he's not ready or he's slow playing the gentleman and he's playing games himself.
Yeah.
Because there is a way that, you can keep it from her.
Yeah.
And not be the typical guy that
Maybe
wants
this is the ultimate player move.
Right. They'll want to give it to you more if you don't act like you're trying to just get in their pants.
Yeah.
If you're a guy that's trying to bang on the first date, chances are she's going to withhold it. Yeah. But if you're going to do the opposite and you're going to psychologically, wow, he's not even trying to get it on the second date.
Right.
So she's either going, there's something wrong with him. Maybe he's embarrassed. Maybe he's insecure. Or maybe it's just what I've been looking for.
100%.
And so she's going to want it. And it almost sounds like she is, because he's not giving her much. And she's drawing this line in the sand saying, hey, if it's below average, I'm not down.
That's right. That's what she said.
And eventually, if he keeps letting her spend the night, she's going to attack him like a bunch of wolves do a big piece of meat.
No doubt.
And then he's going to have to either let it happen and conquer, or maybe he's just not ready. And at that point, she's going to be like, what a bitch.
On the flip side, I have a friend in Seattle who's just an absolute playboy.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that girls like about him is that he's batting a little above average.
Okay.
Maybe a lot. He sent a funny message and he said, the downside of this life, here I am chilling with my friend. So he's got like a following of women.
He's like Charles Manson.
Yeah, I mean, the guy just pulls a wake.
Oh, wait. I like
he
that.
pulls a wake of
that.
women
All right.
that just want him to just destroy it. First, he sends me this message showing missed calls from one female. And look at those numbers. What kind of numbers are you seeing there?
39.
39 missed calls. That's just one little section.
Right. The next line is a FaceTime video, 13 seconds, and then 13 calls, and then 9 more, and then another FaceTime, and then 1 call. So
after that message, or after that screenshot, talk about getting blown up. This guy's getting blown up by this girl. The downside of this life, here I am chilling with my friend, and you know what he means by friend. And the other friend, ... can't accept that I am not there for her. So she calls 60 plus times. Who does that? And the girl that I was with was like, And she said, I know what she wants. Then proceeded to go down on me. She's now been with me while one girl called 30 times, and now a new record, 60 plus. She's like, I get it. You have a hammer.
Is that what he said?
And then he said, can't make this shit up. Shit is wild.
Oh, my God. You've got it.
And then I sent him the Foo Media logo.
You've got it.
I was like, well, let me show you this logo I've been working on.
Hey, thanks for listening to the ManFUzed Podcast. Feel free to join the show by hitting us up at manfused.com or 770-744-5227.